Lucius Apuleius, a Roman author from the 2nd century AD, he wrote one of the first novels of history. It's called The Golden Ass. I'm going to tell a little piece of it. And it starts with Lucius himself. And Lucius was wandering towards a town in Thessaly, and this town was renowned for its witchcraft. It was the reason why Lucius wanted to go there. And it was a long and hot and sweaty day. His horse was tired, so he couldn't sit on it all the time. He had also some provisions with him, so he was next to his horse, trudging on the path, and there he saw two people who were also in the same direction, talking with each other, and they were arguing. He pricked up his ears and listened. Hey, the one was fighting with the other. Nah, this cannot be. Well, I say it was true. You're joking. You're making this stuff up. I don't believe you. No. This really happened. Shut your gap. I don't want to hear more of this silliness. No, let's go our ways and be silent then. But Lucius, he mingled in the conversation and said, but I want to hear it. Please, what's your name? I'm called Aristomenes. This guy I just met, and he just doesn't want to hear my story, but it's marvelous. I want to hear it. Tell it. Tell what did happen. Well, if you're so curious, you might know about the witchcraft which is happening in this territory. Yeah, more. I want to hear more. Well, I was involved in one of that sad stories of witchcraft, and I can say I'm not completely proud of it, but if you want to hear it, it'll shorten the road to the city we were about to go to. Well, get on with the story. It happened that I was in Hippate, the town we are going to. And there I wanted to do some trading with some stuff I wanted to sell, some honey and some timber. But then, on the steps of the temple, I saw an old friend. Socrates! We thought you were dead! What are you doing here? I was astounded, because that Socrates guy, I knew him for a long time, but he was a rich and powerful man. But now I saw him there with sores and with grey hair, and he just didn't look all right with his clothes all messed up. Come, I don't know what has happened to you, but you can tell it to me when we're in the bathhouse. I'll scrub your back if you need it. I'll go and take care of you. This tramp-like person, this Socrates, went along with me. We went to the bathhouse, and when we arrived there, I had to scrub for more than an hour to get the filth of his body. And after that, we drank some wine in a tavern, and then he started to cheer up a bit. But still, with sad eyes, he told me, sorry, I know you thought me dead, but I was robbed, and then I had to go somewhere, and I found this little tavern, and the tavern woman, she was so kind and mildly to me, so I warmed up to her. Well, this woman is called Pamphile, and she turned out to be a witch. I didn't know it at that time, but she was that interesting, even though she was old, that I fell in love with her. I came into her arms, I went into her bed, and before you know it, I was so enchanted with her that I couldn't get away from her. She had me in the palm of her hands. it was witchcraft. I could do nothing more than just obey her every whim. I was like her slave. Yes, sometimes she still warmed me up in her bed, but most of the time I had to hire myself for forced and strong labor just to give her some money, and she just used me. And that's how you came to see me with all my clothes shredded and muck around my face. So I'm ashamed to tell you that that's why I left my wife and my family, because I was under her spell. You poor, poor guy. Your family has grieved so much. Your wife has cried so many tears. Well, you have to get away from here. You have to get away from her thrall. I know what we're gonna do. I'm gonna put you up in a hotel room. I'm gonna sleep there as well. And tomorrow morning we will leave as soon as we can and get you from this bad, wicked witch Pamphile. And so we went. So we hired a room in a hotel, and all went well. It became evening. He went to sleep, but I wanted to sleep as well, but my heart was throbbing. I didn't trust the stories he told me about this witch. She was the most wicked witch you've ever heard of. She could change a man into a hyena. She could make the moon come from the sky and skim it from its foam. She was a real witch. She might just come into my room. So I bolted the door. I put a bed next to it. And then, just then, I could sleep. And I waited. I dreamt. Well, did I dream? I'm not sure. Because halfway that night, a terrible sound come from that door. The door was smattered and smashed into pieces. That bed was launched. My own bed was pulled aside, and I was underneath it like I was hidden underneath my own bed. And there, trembling, I awaited what would be happening, and 2 old women entered our sleeping cabin. And the one had a lamp in its hand, and the other a sword and a sponge. And I knew right away that one was Pamphile and the other Panthea, her sister, and they went towards this Socrates. There he lies, the traitor, the false lover who wanted to abandon me. Well, I am still so pretty and so scrumptious. He doesn't know what he is doing, but I'm gonna pay him back. I'm gonna take my revenge upon him. My dear sister, are you ready? Do you have the sponge? Yes, I got the sponge. But what are we going to do with this treacherous mate of him who's hiding under that bed? Now I was really shaking all over. The bed was trembling with me. I was wondering, would they kill me? Nah, leave him be. He can bury his friend. That will be his task. We will proceed to matters. And they went to the sleeping Socrates, which didn't move at all. But one of them hoisted him up on his hair. The other took her sword and thrust it down his throat, thrust it deeper and deeper until it reached his heart. And then in that gash, what was there, they put their hands. One of the hands of Pamphile was put in the throat, in the gash, and reached towards the heart. And she had in her palm of her hands the throbbing heart of my friend Socrates, put it away, and said to her friend Panthea, "Well then, now the sponge, and beware, we won't have any spilling. Every drop of blood must be taken care of." So they put the sponge in the wound, did some magic spells, and lo and behold, the wound healed itself, and there was our Socrates laying in bed again. And then they looked at me and went towards me. The bed was put aside, and both women were standing on top of me with their legs astride. "Well, we won't kill you, you treacherous animal, but we will hurt you." Well, the hurt wasn't physical, it was more mental, because there they urinated upon me, on my head, on my chest, and I was soaking wet with urine. And then they left. The strange thing was that when they left, the shackles were all good again, and it was like the door was just as good as before. I didn't understand it, but I was very much afraid that I would be the one who would be accused of murder, because my friend was there and had this sword right through his throat. What should I do? What can I do? I don't want to be accused. I'll go, even if it's in the middle of the night, and just flee from this filthy town. And that's what I did. I thought I would go do that, but the guard with the gates said, "You're going in the middle of the night, are you? Stinking of piss, are you? Well, I don't think you may. You might be a murderer." No, I'm no murderer." "Ah, you look guilty." Well, then I'll wait till the early morning." I would do that if I was you. Okay. I had no choice. I had to go back to that sleeping room. And when I was there, to the great amazement of me, Socrates awoke, yawned, looked at me and said, "Ah, is it morning yet? You're alive! You're alive!" And I jumped at him, I embraced him, and I wanted to kiss him. But he threw me back and said, "Ugh, you stink like piss. What did you do in this night?" "Ah, I don't mind to stink. I know that now everything will come all right. Now I see that you're alive. It must have been a dream. Let's go to the gates. We want to go away from this strange town." And thus we went to the gates of the city, and in the early morning we could leave, and everything seemed all right. But he acted strangely. He yawned and looked pale and was trembling and said, "I have a thirst. Can we drink a bit by this brook here?" "Well, go ahead." And he bended over and he drank and he drank. And then, to my utter devastation, I saw how his neck opened, the wound opened itself, the sponge fell out, blood fell out, he fell and was dead. So, the witches were right. I had to bury my friend there. And I never dared to come back to this hated town because of what happened. I'm afraid of those witches. But well, this is now some 10 years back, so maybe they forgot. So now I go back, and Lucius was listening to this heinous story with eyes wide of delight and said, I believe every bit of this story. Your companion must be raving mad not to believe, and that is why I wanted to get to Hypate to meet some witches. Can you tell me, Pamphile, where does she live? What's her state? Ah, she has a husband now, she has a slave girl, and everything is all right with her, but she still does a lot of magic. That's enough. I know enough, and I will find this witch. Lucius went into Hypate, and I don't know how he did it, but he knew to make acquaintance with that slave girl, Fotis. He talked up to her, chatted a bit of it and that, and of course he was a handsome chap with quite some money, so this Fotis girl liked him as well, and he even fell a bit in love with her, and she in him. Those two had this physical attraction towards each other, and well, he had his rooms in a nearby hotel, and of course she went with him, and they made sweet, passionate love. But there was one thing in the back of his head, and that was this witch Pamphile. So he talked with the slave girl and said, Fotis, you know I'm madly in love with you. And you know that as soon as possible I will buy you out of slavery. But there is a little condition. You have to let me see some of those magic spells, some of that wizardry which your mistress does, which does the witch Pamphile does. Can you do that? She looked frightened and said, well, I do love you, but this might be on pain of death, because she is really something. She is the most powerful witch of all Thessaly. You know, that wasn't so long ago that I tried to help her because she was in love with some nice Boeotian boy with blonde hair, and she wanted to have him as her bedmate, even though she's already 70, but that doesn't matter. And I had to collect some hair from the hairdresser, hair from him, to make magic with that hair. And when I was sweeping it, they caught me. And I knew I couldn't get that hair. I had to find something else. And I didn't dare to go back to Pamphile, because maybe she would be mad and do some wizardry on me. So I had to think of something else. And so I saw some hair which was from a long-haired goat and a buck next to it. So I took that, and she mistook it for the hair of the Boeotian young man, the beautiful man with which she wanted to fornicate. And in the middle of the night she did her spells with it, and before you knew it, those bucks and those goats were mad, driving through the streets of the city, going to her door and bucking with their horns to the door, wanting to get in and wanting to do nasty things with Pamphile. So you can imagine that after that mishap, she doesn't like me that much anymore. And so now you're asking me something very dangerous. Fotis, I know it's dangerous, but I'm begging you, please, please. It's the last thing I want from you, and after that we can be free and together. So, will you? Please? Wait until the right moment, and then I will show you the magic of my mistress, the witch Pamphile. And I had to wait a couple of days still. these weren't bad days, because every afternoon and every evening we made wild and passionate love together, so no problems there. But then the time was ripe, and she hurried towards me from her mistress and said, "Lucius, this is the time. Come with me. She's in her shack on top of her house, and there she is brewing her magic. She wants to transform herself into a bird, into a raven." "This is great. I want to see this. Yes, come quick." "She won't know, because there's a little cleft in the door. You can peep through that cleft, and then you'll see what she's doing." And tiptoeing we went to that tiny shack on top of her house, and I saw through that tiny crack of her door. She was busy with some salve, with some nasty reeking ointment, and she was disrobing herself. I had to look at that nasty old hag in her nakedness, and she was rubbing herself all over with that ointment, especially underneath the calves, underneath every place and orifice would be stretched. Something strange happened. And now, only at that moment, I really believed in magic, because in front of my eyes, I saw her transform. Hairs became feathers. Her nose became hard like a beak. Her eyes became smaller. She got tail feathers. Her feet became claws. And there was a raven. She stretched out her feathers. She ruffled a bit with them, tried them, and flew off in pursuit of her wannabe lover, the Boeotian man. And never in my life had I been so joyful. I've witnessed real magic. Fotis, now I know we are surely to be wed. Oh, you are so beautiful. I've seen this witchcraft with my own eyes. Well, I only want one thing, and then it's all done and settled. What then, my love? How can I help you get me out of slavery so we can love each other even more? Well, bring me the salve. Bring me the ointment. I want to become a bird as well. She became a bit pale, but she knew this was the only thing which would satisfy me. So she dared it to go into that room, even though she knew that that might be her death at the hands of her witch mistress. But she found the pot of salve, gave it to me, and of course there I went out with the clothes. Completely naked, I rubbed myself in. Now I shall know how it is to fly, to be free like a bird. Well, here a little bit more ointment, there a little bit. Help me, Fotis. Maybe there, that back part. Yes, thanks. But something was wrong. There were no feathers growing, but my hair was becoming hard and dark, and I felt my skin becoming leathery. I was getting hooves. I was growing a tail. I was getting long, protruded ears. And the only consolement of this transformation was that I got a very huge, enormous phallus. And then I knew what had happened. I tried to talk, I tried to say to Fotis something, but I all came out. "Oh," said Fotis. "Oh, this was a mistake. I think I've taken the wrong pot. I must have been in my excitement, must have made a mistake and took the wrong pot, my dear. Ay, 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 now you're a donkey. What can we do? Well, you're a cute ass, that's no problem. Well, there's a very simple remedy. You only have to eat roses. Well, today I don't get roses here, but tomorrow morning I will bring you fresh roses and you'll turn into your own beautiful self. No problem, my dear. And so it became that I had to rest in the stable next to my own horse and another donkey, and well, what happened then would take way too long to tell for you, but you can read it all in the story of Lucius Apuleius and the golden ass. The only thing I can say is, a goddess, the goddess Isis, rescued me, and I once again became what you can see now, a man who was once an ass.